Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Kai Sport TV. My name is Sutrumea and we have an exciting show lined up for you. Now this week, Bafana Bafana are still on their quest to qualify for the 2016 Chan tournament. The Boks are in action again and basketball takes its roots in Africa. Now then, it is only a couple of months before the big Rugby World Cup, which means that there's a lot of flurry and activity around the Boks. Sanle van Heerden attended the Boks training camp.
The saying, time flies when you're having fun, should be changed to time flies, full stop. When late former President Nelson Mandela handed the Webb Ellis Trophy to Francois Pienaar in 1995, sparking celebrations across the country, little did I know that we would be celebrating the 20th anniversary of that momentous occasion in what feels like a blink of an eye. On the 24th of June, members of that victorious Boks squad and members of the management team gathered at Ellis Park to remember and celebrate the day they became world beaters. Francois Pienaar, Chester Williams and Joel Stransky were some of the legends in attendance, flanked by a crowd of local and international media. But the presence of a frail Joost van der Westhuizen, the absence of former President Nelson Mandela, players such as Ruben Kruger as well as coach Kitch Christie serve to remind us that life is short.
Well, Madiba, I always like to refer to him as the unofficial captain of all our sports teams, and he was undoubtedly a massive part of our lives. So it's not just as a person, but as an inspiration in that period. He came and spoke to us before the World Cup even started and wished us luck, and he said to us he would ensure that we have the support of the whole nation. And then he came into the change room the day of the final, and he had that joyous smile as he celebrated our victory with us afterwards. Those are the things you can never replace. Those are the memories that we live with, and those are the moments that inspired this country.
Since this is a World Cup year, the former champions also had some advice for the current crop.
Well, I think it's a nice difficulty for Heineken May to have the fact that he's got so much talent, so much players to pick from. Just loose forwards, I can pick 15, 20 guys now that can play for South Africa, prop forward in the centre, on the wing and so forth. So the difficult task is which right combination you must pick.
Well, there you have it, guys. That was the 20th celebration of that famous day, 1995, where we lifted the World Cup for the first time, and we got to see a lot of old faces, a lot of old heroes, and it's been great, and hopefully we can have more of this where we see our next generation, especially the 2015 guys, go on and do the same thing. We wish them well. For Sidestep, I'm Sandy van Heerden.
Now do remember that if you would like to have your picture on the back of the Boks jersey ahead of their 2015 Rugby World Cup, all you have to do is go to www.homegroundadvantage.co.za. Now then, the first ever NBA match on African soil is less than a month away. Musiburu Whitehead attended an NBA Africa event.
One of the most hotly anticipated sporting events of the year is less than a month away. The first ever NBA match on African soil takes place at Ellis Park right here in Johannesburg on the 1st of August. The game will feature a Team Africa versus a Team World format that will be played in support of Boys and Girls Clubs of South Africa, SOS Children's Villages and the Nelson Mandela Foundation. Team Africa will be made up of players from Africa as well as second-generation African players, including Captain Luol Deng of the Miami Heat, with other players yet to be confirmed. But why play the first ever NBA match on African soil in South Africa and not perhaps Nigeria or Angola, which have more established basketball cultures? NBA Vice President and Managing Director for Africa, Amadou Gallo-Fall, explains.
Absolutely. I was in Lagos about a week and a half ago, and that's the question you get from everybody. Why not in Lagos? And also we get the same question in Luanda. They feel like they have the infrastructure. They dominate basketball over the last 50 years on the continent. They have state-of-the-art arenas. So, we feel that this is our base, and we are confident and convinced that young people have a tremendous passion for our sport and our brand. So I think we just wanted to make sure that we bring that to the forefront. By bringing our marquee aspirational event, I think it's going to signal to the market in South Africa that basketball is a preeminent sport. It is not as, when people rank and talk about, I remember when we came here the first time in 2010, it was nowhere in the conversation. But I had never doubted that, we were a popular sport. It's just because of, the nature and the iconic status of our players and their interest, interest in fashion, in technology. They set trends. And I know that now the world is a village, You have a global teenager that's, will wear Skull Candy or Beats by Dre. And this is what our players wear, We set trend in music, There are, mutual admiration. A lot of our players are aspiring rappers, and a lot of the rappers or hip-hop artists are probably frustrated, basketball players. So I think, we were very confident that, if we lay the groundwork, make the game accessible, put it on television, young people are going to adapt. And now bringing this game, I think, is going to be that exclamation point, that signal to the market that there is a big sport that people really, just didn't realize, how exciting and how popular it was. But it is popular in South Africa, and I have no doubt that in a couple of years, I'm not gonna get this question again.
The game will follow the 13th edition of Basketball Without Borders Africa, which is the NBA and FIBA's global basketball development program, and it's reached 1,000 campers from 31 African countries since 2003. Gallo-Fall says the program has been an unbridled success, with several players drafted out of BWB and into the NBA.
Just through our Basketball Without Borders program that we started in 2003, we've had 8 players who've been drafted out of this program. So if you count that, we've had players, legends, who are now in the Hall of Fame, in Hakeem Olajuwon, who was drafted number 1 in 1984, ahead of Michael Jordan. Dikembe Mutombo, who is now our global ambassador, who is also from the DRC. We've had over 35 players who've played in the NBA over the years. Last year in opening rosters, we had 9 players from Africa. And I'm not counting the second generation Africans. Andre Iguodala, who's obviously was born in the States, but his parents are from Nigeria, was the MVP of this year's NBA Finals. Festus Ezeli, who is from Nigeria, was born and raised in Nigeria until he moved to the US in college, won the NBA championship. So we have role models, players in our league, young people here on the continent, and also in our WNBA league, because let's not forget that, we have a very, very vibrant women's league, that has had many African superstars like Clarisse Mashangwana, Mawadi Mabika from the DRC, or Aston Jais from Senegal. So across gender, we have role models and influences that these young people across Africa who have a passion for the sport can look up to. And this number, I'm talking about 8, 9 right now, but this number is going to continue to grow, because this game and the Basketball Without Borders program, the LLP program in Senegal, the Power Forward program, and all the junior NBA leagues that we are going to launch across Africa are only going to contribute to really grow the number of talented Africans who are going to make their way in our league.
Wars are August 1st, but if you haven't got tickets, then sorry for you, because they are sold out and you'll have to catch the match on SuperSport. Musibudi Whitehead, Kaya FM Sport.
Bafana coach Shakes Mashaba has made it quite clear that despite taking a 3-0 lead into the second leg of their Chan qualifier, they will not rest on their laurels. And of course, despite facing many difficulties and hiccups in selection, he says he is confident of a result. Bafana Bafana take on Mauritius in the second leg of their Chan 2016 qualifier in the Indian island nation tomorrow. Just like it was for the first leg, in which Bafana only had one training session, preparations again started with a hiccup on Monday when several PSL teams withdrew their players for pre-season training. Thabo Matlaba and Mark van Heerden were withdrawn because of injuries, while Ntsikelelo Nyawuza pulled out because of Orlando Pirates' CAF Confederations Cup commitments. But despite these frustrations, Coach Ephraim Shakes Mashaba remains positive.
We don't talk frustration in the Bafana Bafana. We always live with the same things. We are used to them. But it gives us a little bit of a problem in that we don't have enough way of preparing ourselves, you know.
And while some frown on the quickly assembled squad for lesser-known players, Shakes reiterated that he and his technical team know every player in the squad because they watch them week in and out. South Africa won the first leg 3-0 at the Dobsonville Stadium 2 weeks ago. The second leg kicks off tomorrow at 1 p.m. Well, that's it from us for this week. Remember, we are back again next week. Do look out for Kaya Sport TV. From us, it's goodbye.